What's up, everyone? Geek here. I am back breaking down the Monday night football spectacular. Dolphins at Steelers. All right, it's not a spectacular. It's a craptastic Monday night football extravaganza where it's just another one of these smash spots. The team total for the Steelers here is 28 points. Team total for Miami is just over 14 points. So it's a little bit better. It's a little bit better than usual. And already people are asking, should I just skip this slate? Listen, good idea, bad idea. There's DFS going on all the time. And there are angles in every single game. And we're going to break down the angles, John, in this game. And hopefully understand some potential game flows and try to make some money off of it. I like when the outcome is fairly knowable. Buffo on the beat. This is not a question. To Connor is the answer. Chuck G rightfully acknowledges that I have a face for radio. That is very true. That is very true. So let's get into it, guys. I've got a hard stop on this breakdown because I'm doing a fantasy basketball breakdown after this. So busy day. When am I going to make the lineups? I don't know. Maybe right now as we're talking about the slate. So let's go through it real quick. Last week, John Connor comes out of the game. All right, let's just start with the most basic component here. Dolphins defense, terrible at everything. Everything. They suck. But when teams are terrible at everything, they tend to get attacked via the run. Pittsburgh Steelers are a team that is very happy to attack using the running game. So the most obvious place that points are going to come from this week is definitely from the running game of the Steelers. In Josh DFS Up North's Showdown notes, which he does for us every single week, he's got, this is the Fanduel side, he's got James Conner as a potential 100% play, but 70 to 75 with a little bit of a couple looks at some of these quarterbacks, Rudolph and Fitzpatrick. And he actually mentioned something really sharp here. The assumption is that he will easily be the highest scorer on the slate. He's not expensive enough to where it's discouraging to go all in. And my suggestion is to go 100% exposure to John Connor as your MVP. Okay? He should be the 100% MVP. Now, last week, John Connor came out of the game. He hurt his quad, and in came Benny Snizzles. Okay? Benny Snell Jr. came in and had a nice little day. Okay? So it was a lot of carries, some targeting. He's great. So the next big thing we're waiting on is if I want the backup running back for the Steelers in a lot of lineups. Buffalo's herd never go 100%. Let me tell you something. This week I said go 100% Lats Murray. Did that work out for you? Who told you not to go 100%? That wasn't me. Sometimes you go 100%. Sometimes you gotta go all in it to win it. Okay? And especially with a chalk play like this, sometimes you gotta go over the chalk. But yes, there is always merit to fading chalk in tournaments, blah, blah, blah. You do what you gotta do. So I'm not saying to do it, but I'm just saying there is merit in YOLO. Now, if I was to not go all in, I'd want the backup running back up in here because why doesn't the all-in play work? It doesn't work because, Connor gets hurt. He got hurt. Fuck, I went all in. He got hurt. You know how that happens all the time. It happens more often than you would think. He gets hurt. In comes Benny Snell or Jalen Samuels. Why do I mention those two names? We don't know who the backup is yet. We're going to have to wait till closer to game time. But we want, quote, backup running back for Steelers exposure, regardless, even no matter what. So we've got to keep an eye on Benny Snell and Jalen Samuels and figure out which guy is going to be the backup. Because Samuels was supposed to be out. Now he looks like he might play, but I'm hearing maybe he doesn't play. Let's wait and find out. Game time decision. We'll know an hour and a half before game time. And the good news is that's plenty of time to deal with what we got to do. 7 o'clock, we'll know. We've already locked our NBA lineups in at that point, so we can shift our focus back over to football and make some money. All right, so James Conner is the main play. That's the best play. I'm looking at FanDuel, but DraftKings is more interesting this week, the way it sets up, and I should almost jump over to that instead. But all right, let's look at it on DraftKings. See, DraftKings, you can have a little bit more exposure because that was FanDuel. FanDuel's 100%er for me, or for Samuel, or for Connor, or 190, and then maybe his backup 5% just in case, win all the monies, right? On DraftKings, it's a little different because the salaries work out pretty crazy here. James Conner is the most expensive player I've ever seen in a DraftKings showdown. So there is going to be some merit to saying, all right, who else might produce that allows me to Tetris together a lineup that's going to be unique enough to where even a 25-point game from James Conner maybe doesn't hit the nuts as captain at his price. But we'll look at this in a second. Let's jump back over to FanDuel. Just want to go through it. If you have any other captains, the quarterbacks are always going to be in play. We've seen Ryan Fitzpatrick have big games over the course of his career. If Ryan Fitzpatrick is your MVP and you choose to go that way, obviously you're going to pair him up with two guys from his team. Devontae Parker and Preston Williams are the best bets, but you've got Albert Wilson as a possibility. He's going to play, and he's a bigger play guy than a Hearns. So I'd have more than 1 to 5%. I'd have a little bit more of that. But, I mean, there's only three guys they're really going to throw to between it's Williams, it's Devontae Parker. $12K for him is crazy. And maybe a little bit of Albert Wilson. I might guess Gesicki, the tight end, I guess you could include. So any two of those, if I used, which I probably won't, but if I used one of the, Fitzpatrick, if I'm using Mason Rudolph, I got to have two of his pass catchers in the lineup with me. Because again, Ryan Fitzpatrick might run for a touchdown. He's that kind of guy. Mason Rudolph, less likely to. And again, the Steelers' production is likely going to come from their running backs, where the Dolphins' production is going to come from their receivers, most likely, if the game plays out as we think it will, which is the Steelers take a big lead, running game smashing, and the Dolphins are down big, just throwing like crazy. So with Fitzpatrick, we're looking at garbage time scoring. Garbage time. All right, let's talk about some of the core flex plays on FanDuel. And there's a few names that I really, really want to emphasize here. Obviously, the same trio that we might consider in as the captain are great flex plays. Juju Smith-Schuster, a little expensive for what he's been doing. Again, I think most of the production will come from the running back position for the Steelers. So Schuster just hasn't been doing it, not done it. Just not doing it. He hasn't produced he produced a score that was worthy of flex consideration a few weeks, but at this salary, he's just not producing MVP type points on FanDuel. John's talking about Snell. We need to make sure that Snell is the guy and not Jalen Samuel. We'll get to that. Where was I? Okay. Yes, Schuster. Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. See, now the game flows will favor these two guys. Now, I like them better on DraftKings. They're cheaper. The PPR will help them more. And there's a different guy I like more on FanDuel for Miami, and that's Mark Walton. But with Parker and Preston Williams, again, let's take a look at what they've been doing recently. Devontae, not bad. 10 targets. So even in bad games, 14, 10, 15, Devontae Parker has been producing. We forget that these guys have been producing because the team is so bad. 9. Preston Williams, not quite as good as Parker, but getting lots and lots of targets. So I'm expecting these two guys to be peppered with targets, and I really like them both as FanDuel plays. Daniel Danforth is asking about Deontay Johnson as a cash play. The answer is no. He's not a cash play. We want targets, right? And we want locked in targets. What does this guy get? 2, 8, 6? No. That's not a cash play. This is a game where the Pittsburgh running game is going to control it. Yes. Not Barbara, but her son. So Mark Walton. Let's take a look at the running back situation for Miami. They got rid of Kenyon Dreezy. He's gone. So Mark Walton, the running back, should get all the carries. And the encouraging thing about Walton was this. If you look at the game against Washington a couple weeks ago, 6 targets, 5 receptions. They throw to him. So now with Dreezy out of the way, we could potentially see a 15 carry, 6 target effort from Mark Walton. That is your cash play. There. Cash play. Now, what else do I do, you say, right? Well, let's say Benny Snell was playing and we wanted to use him. You could put him in, and then you could put in Ryan Fitzpatrick, and you've got yourself a cash lineup. You got Connor, Snell, the quarterback for Pittsburgh, the quarterback from Miami, the running back from Miami. That is a classic cash lineup. Where are my turds at? John's asking about all the turds. Yes, Mike Gesky, he's a turd. What does that mean? Not a cash play. Not a cash play, man. We don't play the turds in cash. Mike Gesky's like a 10%er. When you're making 150 lineups, use him 10%. Is Walton? Yes. Don't do that. Did I not just tell you? 100% Connor? If Connor's not smashing, the guy who's going to be smashing is Benny Snell because Connor gets hurt. There are very few paths in this game that don't involve the running back for the Steelers crushing tonight. It's just a question of which one. They have the backup quarterback. They're not going to emphasize the pass. They have the backup quarterback in, Mace Rudolph. Could it happen? Yes. Does Miami offer much resistance to the pass? No. Could they just decide, hey, we want to air it out because we want to practice throwing the football? I mean, anything can happen. But I'm not going to play it. Certainly not in cash. Anything you want to do in your tournament lineups, by the way, do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. The tournament winning lineup doesn't always look like what before the game looks like a good lineup. So do whatever the fuck you want. But if we're talking about cash or small contests, I want the highest floor. This lineup right here is one of the highest floors. We could switch it up. If I got Fitzpatrick in there, you want to go instead of Walton, you want to go Devontae Parker. Okay. But I like Walton because I know he's going to get a lot of touches. So I want to raise my floor. Is this a lot of Miami in one lineup? Yes. But I mean, Fitzpatrick, for as bad as he is, he put up 21 points last week at Buffalo, one of the toughest defenses in the league. The week before that, he just didn't play much. So let's not forget, Ryan Fitzpatrick is a quarterback that knows how to put up fantasy points. Do not sleep on this guy just because the fucking Dolphins suck. Even if they suck, and even if they get killed, and even if Steelers defense have a great game, Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to put up some points. He has the higher floor. So he is in our cash lineup. He's in my cash. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. He's in my cash lineup because his floor is very high. Again, this lineup doesn't work if Jalen Samuels is starting. If Jalen Samuels is playing, he's questionable. Despite being a full participant, he's on the side of caution with the Samuels injury designation. He's supposed to be sidelined until November. Blah, blah, blah. Final confirmation will come closer to kickoff. If any of you guys watching this right now have heard different, right now we don't know if it's going to be Benny Snizzles or Jalen Samuel. In a lot of ways, yes, we can take a similar approach, which was, I told you guys to play Matt Moore. He's a high floor play last night. Josh, DFS up north, the man himself, the Showdown master is here. Now, you're saying Benny Snell ain't playing much, but he came in for an injured Connor. And did some damage last week, 17 carries and got a target, right? So the question is, backup running back for the Steelers. James Conner got hurt last week. Do I think that's going to happen again? No. But like, what if it happens? Or, isn't it nice just to pay down? Like I said, you can do something different. You can go with without him in here. You almost have to get rid of Walton and kind of go more onslaught, because who else are you going to use? That's it. So without him in there, what I would have to do is just say, you know what, YOLO, onslaught, something like that. Or I might go with a Boswell and then Samuels. Like if I thought Samuels was playing, this is what my cash game would probably look like right here. But I really want to get Walton in the lineup because he's going to get a lot of touches. I don't think he's going to do a lot with them, but he's certainly going to get 15 to 20 touches in this game. So once I've got Walton in there, I can only afford Benny Snell. So if Benny Snell is in the game at all, even as a backup, and he gets me 4 points, I'm okay with it. The other possibility, if I wanted to do a lineup like this, I would add Vance McDonald in there. This whole thing about Rudolph and Washington hasn't done shit with Rudolph. So now Washington's starting again. He's going to play this game. He's starting again. He's going to move into the lineup. That other dude, Hunter, what the hell was his name? Holton. Johnny Holton will be relegated to fourth WR duties. He didn't do shit anyway. One target, two when he replaced him. Moncrief hasn't done a damn thing. Where my turds at? So, he hasn't done anything. 2 targets. He had one game where he was targeted and he sucked and they just benched him. Moncrief is a drop in your dynasty league. Get rid of him. But, this is another way I would go. So for those of you asking, how do I do right here, this is a pretty cashy lineup. Now you could make a decision that you don't want that anything but Fitzpatrick. That could switch over to Boswell. He's going to score. The problem with the kicker, though, is the kicker does best when the defense can stop you from completing drives. So yes, I can show that. So I'm about to move on. We covered FanDuel here. You see one version of cash. You see probably a better version of cash. And if Benny Snell is in, we're going to replace Vance McDonald with Benny Snell. You're in a good spot. You got all the floor in there. I got my quarterback, I got my running back, I got my quarterback, got my running back, and then we have a wild card here. Let you make your own fucking decision on a wild card. Now, Alex is asking about how you win satellites on FanDuel, and I do these. There should be a lot of them tonight, so let me take a look. Keep an eye on the clock. Let me take a look here. I'm just going to show you something. Let's see if we have them again. Here you go. They really have made these a lot smaller, but these satellites are the ones you want to jump into. 2,000 entrants, $1. There should be some cheaper ones. Here's like a quarter one. I'm not seeing the same level of satellites that I had seen. You know what? Let me check out something else here real quick. Let me check out NBA because I do find a lot of these in NBA as well. All right, so check this out. Let's see. Come on, baby. Satellite to the Epic Monster. These are also small contests. Well, this is very interesting. Every once in a while, they'll have these contests with like 50,000 entrants that are satellites, and those are the best. But here, I don't like these one-ticket ones. Yeah, here it is, 100 tickets to the Sunday Million, 1,000 entrants. This is a good contest to attack. The top 10% each get a $9 ticket. So it's a 9x return. I like that. Here's a 50-center. Only one, so I don't like that too much. But I like the ones with a lot of tickets in them. Unfortunately, today is not a great day. You just have to keep scanning for these. John Lickman asks, which one should I build? John, at some point, if I showed you 2 or 3 iterations of a great cash lineup, and which one you should build, man, make a choice. But wait until we find out about the Benny Snell news. And if it's no Benny Snell, my suggestion would be to go with the Vance McDonald, Mark Walton, Fitzgerald, Connor, Mason Rudolph version. Okay, let's talk about Pittsburgh defense is cash, but let's jump over to DraftKings so we could talk about this site real quick. And I started to do the same concept of putting a lineup together on DraftKings, and the idea is the same. Again, we have Josh Thomas, the GOAT of Showdowns. He's here in the chat right now. He's out there. He's a fucking celebrity. He's like the shit when it comes to these. So he's got it broken down for you for DFS Army subs in a really easy way to understand. Like if you're making 150, these are some candidates for the captain spot. Again, would my exposures be a little bit different? Yes, a little bit, but I mean, the idea here is very similar. All of our exposures will be a little bit different because we're all individual people with different ideas. I like to build for certain storylines. But again, my storyline for this one, for this game overall, and I'm going to like these Miami pass catchers even more on DraftKings, is my storyline is the Steelers are going to crush with their run game. And then the Miami will have no success with the run and therefore will attempt to throw the football a lot. Siggy's asking an interesting question here before I continue with this about maxing out the nickel and the quarter game and how many should I do for the dollar or three. There's no such thing as I can't do 150. That doesn't work for me. First of all, yes, max out the nickel, max out the quarter. If you're on DraftKings, I would approach them differently on DraftKings than on Fanduel. On Fanduel, on DraftKings, I'd make 300 lineups and then max out 2 contests of that style. On Fanduel, you can't make 3. Unfortunately, DraftKings doesn't have those type of contests. On Fanduel, I don't like making 300 because I win these all the time, these showdowns. And a lot of times the easy ones to win, you tie and you'll basically not get the tie. And those contests just aren't, if it's one of those times when you're going to win with the tie, then you'll win one of them and you'll lose the other and you'll lose money. So no. Now, as far as the second part, what should I do? If you can't do 150, don't enter those contests. Enter smaller man, every freaking time. Okay. Look at this. Let me knock some sense into you guys. Don't enter this contest, 85,000 entrants. Okay? If you're putting one in and everybody else is putting 150. Enter a smaller one. Here's a 7,000 person. Maybe put a few lineups in here. Here's a $2,000 a $2 contest with 5,000 entrants. Enter that one. Or come even smaller with the contest. How about, hold on, scroll down. Here you go. Wow. How come I show me NBA? What the fuck is going on here? All right. Of course I switched over from before. How about a $5 4,700 entry? How about a smaller one? Here's a 800 entrant contest. My point is, based on the size of the contest, you don't have to have a nuts lineup to win out of 470. Okay? You see the lineup I just built? Hold on. Let's see if that shows up here. Right? See that lineup? Now, I still don't know if it's going to be Snell or Vance. There you go. I'll post the cash after the slate of how much money I won with that contest, with that entry. Okay, I'll post it after. All right, where were we? DraftKings. Goat sheet. So on DraftKings, you need to mix up your captain exposure very differently. Connor is the most expensive captain we have ever seen. And the problem is the minute you put in Connor, you are now negating your ability to play Mason or Juju Smith-Schuster. Fine. Just know that that's what it does. So in order to afford anything on DraftKings, we've got to either do something different. I mean, you either have to take a shot with a cheaper captain like Steelers defense, which I don't mind here at all. I don't mind it not because I think they're the highest scorer, but because with them in there, I can do a little bit more with Connor. I almost always play if I'm doing DraftKings cash, I almost always will play the favored kicker, and that's Boswell. Buffalo, how fun is it if I actually post last time I did this? Then I came in second with the lineup I threw in on this thing, and I posted it for you guys in Slack. I'm like, hey, remember that lineup I made? Here it is. Remember I put it in $300? Here, maybe $1,500. Okay. Sometimes I lose. I don't post it when I lose. It's not that transparent. It's not as fun when you lose to post a screenshot. Just know that I lose also. So anyway, we talked about some high floor players, but take a look at Benny Snizzles, 2,400. if he's playing, if Jalen Samuels is out, I absolutely think there's a great chance that Pittsburgh will be smashing. It's not fun to post the losing screenshots, man. Pittsburgh will be smashing. And so you'll see the backup running back score as well. So I need to know who it's going to be. Could be Jalen Samuel, could be Benny Snell. Don't know yet. Waiting for Josh to give me the news. So looking at some other plays. Again, I'm not into Dolphins defense here. Look at how much they're scoring per game, 0.7. I'm not into Dolphins kicker here. They're going to be down. They're not going to be kicking a lot of field goals. So Mike Gesicki, the tight end. I'll give you a super turd sleeper here. Myles Gaskin. What if he's the new Kenyon Drake? I don't think Kalen Ballage is going to be the pass catching back for them. So what if it's Myles Gaskin? So if you're making 150, you can get a few shares of him as long as he's active. He's the guy who's going to be replacing Kenyon Drake. I think he's more of a pass catching type of guy. Why do I think that? I don't have any good reason. Undrafted free agent, I think, or a 6th round, some bullshit draft pick. All right, moving up the list here for DraftKings, we're trying to make a cash lineup. I already said Preston Williams and Devontae Parker are going to be peppered with targets in this game. Will they have success? I don't know, but they're going to be peppered with targets. Mark Walton is the running back for this team. He'll get some targets. So when you start to figure, all right, how am I going to make my lineup? I want to get some of these names in there. Now, of course, we all want Juju Smith-Schuster, but you can't afford it. So fuck this Steelers. By the way, if I'm making a cash lineup, it's not that. Okay, let's go back. We're going to call this a cash lineup. Connor starts. Look, you only have 59.80 left. So you have to start to figure out, fuck, I need to punt somewhere. Well, there aren't that many punts in this game. You got Boswell, and then you've got backup running back. Hopefully it's Benny Snell. You can consider Albert Wilson, who is a bigger play type of guy than anyone else. He doesn't get a ton of looks, but he's getting healthier and healthier, and he's a big play kind of. He's like Mecole Hardman, if Miami offense didn't suck. He's going to come in, he's going to get a couple gimmick plays designed for him. He's kind of like a hybrid scat back wide receiver type of person. So, I mean, again, if you put Connor in, look how little money is left right off the bat. So we're really hampered by who we can use. But luckily, we have some plays that we like. Boswell right away, I mean, I'm locking him in because he's 4K, and who else can you get for cheap? And again, maybe it might be Benny Snizzles if he's the backup. I'm fine with it. If you don't want to go that way, then I'm going Mark Walton. He's going to get touches. But unfortunately, we're basically going with a Miami onslaught, which feels really weird. But you don't have any choice with Connor at the helm. So at that point, you're going Miami onslaught. You might go Preston Williams. And then, it looks ugly like this. I think you almost have to use one of Samuel or the other guy. But, then you're going Preston Williams. Then you're going Vance McDonald, which is horrible, and Devontae Parker. I don't like this at all. Right? This is one of the things that make me feel a little weird about this slate. I don't like this at all. So it looks a lot better. It looks a lot better if Benny Snell is in this lineup. And now what happens? And again, this is assuming that Benny Snell is the starter and that Jalen Samuels out. The same thing works with Jalen Samuels if he plays. But it looks, if you get Benny Snell in here, all of a sudden, it looks pretty decent. Why? Because now I can kind of do some interesting things. I can get Devontae Parker going. I can get Steelers going. Oh, I almost got to Ryan Fitzpatrick here, but you can do Deontay Johnson. Another way to go here might have been to go with Preston Williams here. And then again, we can go with Steelers defense if we want, or we can go Devontae Parker and Fitzpatrick. We can get Steelers defense in there and Fitzpatrick. So there's a few different ways. Oh, so close. This would have been my ideal. But it doesn't fit. I can't make that fit, so it doesn't. You could also go Fitzpatrick with both of his pass catchers. You could also go Fitzpatrick with Williams and then Steelers D. or I can do something else. So a few different ways to go. SEO Experts got a crazy play of the day. Alan Hearns, man, that's very YOLO, but I will never question your crazy plays, Dave. I have seen them work many times before. Yes, DFS is hard, my man. It's definitely hard, especially single game contests, because who the fuck knows what's gonna? There's so few choices here. But again, in cash, we can narrow down some things. We want volume. We want high floor. Cash games are not as hard. This is a cash lineup right here, and it's a good one. Again, this assumes that Benny Snell is the backup player, but I mean, if he wasn't, then Dolphins kicker. I mean, I don't love it. And put Devontae Parker in here and do some other things. So we know these guys are going to get peppered with targets. At that point, I can go up to 4,100, get one of these guys in there. I mean, I don't love it. Like I said, my perfect world, if Samuels was playing, would be something like this, but it's just not going to fit. I never use a kicker. I've never used a kicker at the captain, but if you did, somebody asked for a kicker captain. If you put Boswell at the captain, and it would have to be the home favorite, I mean, does it help you that much? You still got Connor in here. Still going to do Fitzpatrick. Still going to do Steelers defense. So at this point, you're going kind of like that. Now, you could put Mace. I don't think Mason Rudolph is going to score enough to pay off this salary. He's got a high floor. But to use Mason Rudolph, we can go Pittsburgh Onslaught. All Steelers. And then throw like one Dolphin in there. I don't like it. Walton. Samuels, if he started. So there's a few different ways to do it like that. But I don't like this at all. Why? Because in order for the kicker to kick a lot of field goals, the opposing defense has to stop drives. In other words, we think this team's going to score a lot, so great. We think this team's going to score a lot, so that's cool. But if the defense can't stop them, in the opponent's field position, they score every time. If they score touchdowns so consistently, like when you watch the Patriots play against the Jets, and every single possession they scored a touchdown, or pretty much they weren't stopped. A nice slow drive that ended with a touchdown. The kicker didn't do that much because it was just extra point, extra point, extra point. So one of the things that needs to happen in order for the kicker. Now, I don't think that will happen in this game, because with Mason Rudolph as the quarterback for the Steelers, you're not going to get the same kind of efficiency that you might with someone like if Roethlisberger was in there. Somebody asked, I don't believe that Roethlisberger did those things, so I'm not going to dignify that one comment. Yes, if you have Mason Boswell, dude, come on. There's no choice here. I mean, I get that there's a lot of different approaches. Like, what if Juju Smith-Schuster finally has a big game? But I mean, if you're making like a cash lineup, no. Have Connor as your captain. He's going to have a big game. At least that's what I'm expecting. Again, I'm not trying to build a lineup to be cute or beat 500,000 other lineups. For that, do whatever the fuck you want. If you're entering this $1.2 million Monday Night Showdown, right? If this is the contest and you're going to take on 141,176 other lineups, then do whatever the fuck you want. Be crazy with it. Play whoever you think in. Play Boswell here. Why? Because you'll be one of like 5%. So you'll cut down 141,000 down to 7,000. More beatable. Still 5% of 7,000. Still a lot of lineups that you got to beat, but it's not 150. Boswell will be 30%. Not Boswell. Connor will be 30% as the captain. And again, DraftKings did a smart thing by jacking up the price. If this wasn't as crazy of a salary as it is, if this wasn't 34, 30, 5% higher or 30% higher than the next best, then we would have just had 100% right now. But there is some merit to. I actually think you're better off though, Dr. 2K Green. I think not here. Patrick's asking about Walton. I actually think no, I don't like Walton there because again, the game script doesn't favor the running back for the Dolphins having a big game. What the game script favors is the passing game for the Dolphins in catch-up mode, in garbage time mode. And we've seen Devontae Parker deliver this season already. So if I think that's going to happen and I can now squeeze some extra things into my lineup because I put Connor in there, now I'm going to go down to Benny Snell, and now I can do a couple of interesting things here. So when you start it off this way, I don't even need Snell. Again, I can, if this is cash, I'm going to go with Boswell over that. Now I'm at 6,700. Now I can get Preston Williams in there, Parker and Williams. The only issue is, well, as you look, I don't have enough money for anyone else. So this number didn't Tetris together well. But if I get Benny Snell in there, and sometimes you got to see what fits. If I get Snell in there, I throw Steelers defense on it. This is an interesting a lineup where you've got Connor, Steelers defense stacked, and then Benny Snell. So assuming that it's defense, running backs that do the scoring for the Steelers, and now you've got almost the entire Dolphins passing attack in this. I like this for a tournament. I just put that in. Chris is asking about Fitzpatrick. Yes, he's playable at captain. Again, it has more to do with his reduced salary. And if Fitzpatrick does 22 points, which is what he does, it's not out of the question, even in a loss. Look, Buffalo, good defense, still put up 21. If he gets 21 points and John Connor, for example, gets 25, but you got him in there for this price, again, how's he getting 21 points? Not Deontay Johnson. Devontae Parker or Preston Williams or where is this guy? Albert Wilson or, one of those guys is doing well. So if he's getting there, he's doing it on the back of this guy. He's doing it on the back of this guy, right? And for him to be the nuts, that means two of his pass catchers. Plus, he might have to run for a touchdown. That could happen, right? We still want John Connor in our lineup, but at this point now, we've afforded some extra things. And no matter what, we always have to either get a kicker or some cheapie like Benny Snell or Jalen Samuels, whoever's starting. So you choose one of these three, you fill it out, and you're done. That's in. Skylar's asking about Moncrief. Fuck Moncrief. That dude sucks. Even if he was starting, he's the fifth wide receiver, man. Don't use him. But even if he was starting, and I'm not super high on Finn's tight end either. Mike Gesky, I mean, he'll get you a couple. I think he'll get 4 or 5 targets. So he's not the worst play in the world. I don't mind him. Any other questions, guys, before I wrap this thing up? Because people telling me my videos go on too long with my yaps. They don't like all my yaps. Are you a Buffalo fan, Buffo on the beat? Are you a Bills fan? Is that what that's about? Hate those fish. Steelers defense is absolutely viable as a captain. Absolutely. This is Miami. They fucking suck. And even more so, as much as I like Fitzpatrick as a play to score points, he's an interception and turnover machine. He's an interception and turnover machine. So yes, Steelers defense in play in all formats is captainable. Absolutely. Yes. Buffalo's a Jets fan. I'm a Jets fan too, but I got to tell you something. And I don't live far from where you are in North Jersey, my man. My Jets fandom is what turned me on to fantasy football. Because when your team fucking sucks and you love the sport, you want to find extra reasons to watch it. So in the early 2000s, when I first got into fantasy football, it was because I love football and my fucking team sucks all the time. So I wanted more reasons to get excited for the games. Guys, tell Skylar what it takes. DFS Army subscription and cover all sports. It's $39.99 with my promo code Geek. You go to dfsarmy.com and you get signed up over there, right? Every sport is covered. We smash college football. We destroy NBA. Every sport, NASCAR, MMA, whatever you want. It's all included. And by the best players in the game. They're all in one place at DFS Army. Other places have one guy that's like a well-known player. That guy doesn't even help you. Good luck asking him a question. We're all available. That's the difference. Connor, the best cash captain? Hell yeah. Yes. Skylar, there's also a free month offer. Go to dfsarmy.com and click on the free offer. There's a way to get a free month. I think one of our guys is posting that in the chat. When are you doing the week 9? Patrick, week 9, there's going to be a lot of action. Tomorrow, I'll be in with a first look lineup where I just kind of look over the slate live, make a lineup. It's Tuesday, all right? So that ain't going to look anything like what's happening this weekend. We just do a first look, go over the slate. Most of our coverage tomorrow afternoon, we'll have the Geeks Vegas Lines, which is our flagship podcast, breaking down all the betting angles, all of the DFS angles, everything all in one. You must watch that every week. That has Statsational John Alessia, who is one of the top 30 ranked DFS players in the world and literally the best sports gambler I have ever come across. He works for he is the one of the betting touts over on DFS Army's Beat the Bookie, our sports gambling service, which is fucking ridiculous. He went 5-1 last week, 5-1 the week before. His bets are crazy. I love that guy, right? We got a bunch of great models over there too, really sharp touts. College football, every game, there's 5 or 6 pecks a night. Our price is like nothing compared to what other people charge. And then I'll be back for some DFS Army exclusive VIP breakdowns that happen on Thursday and again on Saturday. So those are only for subscribers. This is a very sharp thing to do, Buffo. Do I think it's going to be over or under? I don't think it's playing to the over very much, but this is a tough one to call. The over-under on this game is very low. I believe it's 42 points. That's pretty low. I don't really think it's going to be significantly under that. Yeah, Ben, you know the schedule, my man. All right, that's it. I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Good luck tonight on the Showdown. Again, the cheat sheet is available for everybody. Gives you some idea of exposures. Again, I do a little different. Here he says, unless Samuels is inactive. So Josh is on board. The idea is we have to wait on the Benny Snell, Jalen Samuels information. Josh is assuming Samuels is going to play. We don't know. But that's the important decision we have to wait for. Unfortunately, those lineups that you saw me make during this video, I will have to change those based on whatever happens. So I don't want to make too many because we're going to have to go back and make changes. If Snell is in there, we're all about it. Snell. If it's Jalen, we're all about Jalen as the backup plan. All right. Going to wrap it up there, guys. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow with like a first look lineup. Maybe we'll do DraftKings this week. I think I did Fanduel last week. I don't remember. We'll do a first look lineup, look over the slate, get ready, get our juices flowing. Hopefully I have time for that in the morning. All right, cool. That's it, guys. Take care. Good luck tonight.